Hey everyone, my name is Crystal M. Johnson, and I'm just going to read this little news article to you. It's actually old news, it's not fake news, but it is old, okay? This article was written by ednc.org in 2020, July 30th, 2020, but it's very relevant because this is an ongoing case. And something significant happened today, which is June 6th, 2022. I know that this case has been taken to the appellate court and is we're going to see what they have to say soon. So let me just read to you. You all know about the Opportunity Scholarship. You all know, if you've been spending any time with me, if you've followed me on Facebook, Graceland Student Services, then you know what the Opportunity Scholarship is. I love the Opportunity Scholarship. I think it's just that it gives students an opportunity to be placed by their parents in a school that is better fit to meet their needs, or best fit to meet their needs, okay? So there has been a lawsuit brought forth against the Opportunity Scholarship, and the NCAE, the North Carolina Association of Educators, as well as the National Education Association, the NEA, filed a lawsuit in Wake County Superior Court challenging the constitutionality of North Carolina's private school voucher program. And I'm pretty much reading this word for word. I should have bought my water. Okay, so officially known as Opportunity Scholarships. The North Carolina Private School Voucher Program provides $4,200 per year to pay for part of the tuition at a private school. Private schools funded through the program are subject to almost no meaningful requirements. They are not required to provide instruction on any academic subjects. They can be operated by entities with no educational experience. They can hire unqualified teachers and have no obligation to improve student performance in any measurable way. Since the program was first implemented, the state has failed to provide even the minimal oversight that the statute requires. Do I agree with that? Yes. The Opportunity Scholarship funds private schools, and private schools are loosely, if regulated at all. They have the bare minimum of regulations, and it's up to the parents' discretion to place their child into that school. So that's why I encourage parents to do their research on a particular school, whether it be public or private, before they place them into that school, because you never know what you're going to get. So you do your research before you put them in the school. You watch them while they're in that school. You stay involved. And if something doesn't go right, you do what you need to do to have it fixed, or you figure out how to have them placed somewhere else. So Tamika Walker Kelly, president of NCAE and one of the plaintiffs on the lawsuit, said vouchers siphon money from public schools already strapped for cash. But vouchers may use some money from taxpayer dollars, but it doesn't take away the money that's already allotted to the public schools. The public schools get a certain amount of money per pupil, and that money is not taken away from them if a student goes to another school. But if it was the case, I feel like it should, because in North Carolina, each public school gets about $9,400 per year for students, whereas the NC scholarship, they're only getting $4,200 a year for that student. So if they are siphoning money away from public schools, I wish they would just take the whole 95 or so 100 instead of less than half. Because if the money is there for that child, to provide resources and education for that child, but the child is not there, then those funds should follow the child. Whew. Vouchers for private schools are an affront to a state that has a long and cherished history of public education. said Walker Kelly, a teacher from Fayetteville with a son in the public school system. Using public money to pay for private schools is part of a broad assault on public schools and on their state constitution. So everyone is entitled to feel how they feel, but people like me felt as though I didn't want my funds to go to pay for people's abortion, and yet it did. And using taxpayer money to fund the education of a child outside of a public school is nowhere near the gravity of funding someone's abortion. And they're not talking about abortion here, but I'm just saying that I can understand that where they're coming from, that where they want to allocate where their taxpayer dollars are going. But let's move on. Okay, so the voucher program has expanded dramatically since it was initially implemented in 2013. In the 2019-2020 school year, the State Education Assistance Authority provided, or the scholarship, provided 12,284 vouchers to private schools. Many participating schools openly admit to discriminating on the basis of religion. They require students to sign statements affirming particular religious beliefs and reserve the right to discipline students who fail to attend religious services or whose beliefs deviate from the school's official religious doctrine. And that is exactly why they are privately owned entity. That's the whole reason for a private school, because people want to put their children in a place that affirms their beliefs and furthers their beliefs, whether it's religious, whether it's social, whether it's something sports related, whether it's something academic, whether it's STEM related. So they put them in this article, they're focusing only on religion and sexuality as the entire reason why they don't want private schools to exist or be funded through the Opportunity Scholarship. Okay, let's continue. So schools are free to provide no education in non-sectarian subjects and instead focus exclusively on inculcating, that's a word, I'm going to look up how to pronounce that, religious beliefs. Many schools also discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation and require students to maintain religious beliefs condemning homosexuality, same-sex marriage, and gender nonconformity. Exactly. That's why they're moving out at large groves, because they don't want you to indoctrinate with your religious beliefs and practices. That's the one thing you don't want to label, is your religious belief and practices. Okay? That's your belief that homosexuality is okay, that same-sex marriage is okay, that gender nonconformity can exist. Ask any educator, the professionals who know the names of the students in the classroom, and they will tell you that if we are serious about every student's future, we need to do what we know works to improve our children's education. North Carolina students deserve neighborhood public schools that have inviting classrooms, a well-rounded curriculum, updated textbooks, class sizes that are small enough for one-to-one attention, and support services such as healthcare, nutrition, and after-school programs for students who need them. But, okay, I understand what she's saying. She's saying that public schools should be a safe haven for children. But she said our children. But let's not forget whose children they really are. Those children belong to their parents, and the parents get to make the decision as to where the children go to school. And if they chose to remove them from a public school, whether they have funds to pay for a private school out of pocket or they utilize the funds of a scholarship, there was a choice and there was a reason for that choice being made. At most times, parents have their children's best interest in mind in their hearts. You are not that child's mother, not that child's father. You're the teacher. You have them for 1 year, 9 months. It's not the same. With almost complete autonomy on how they operate and Unfortunately, vouchers do nothing more than starve already scarce funding from public schools that 90% of North Carolina students attend. So you mean to tell me They're complaining about 10% of students leaving private schools and going to leaving public schools and attending private schools. And out of that 10% of all the thousands and thousands and thousands of students we have in North Carolina, only 12,000 of them use the scholarship. A whole lawsuit. It's been years that this lawsuit has been taking place. Over 12,000 students. And of course, the number has increased as notoriety and awareness has been brought to the scholarship because parents want to be active participants in their children's education and they want to place them where they feel is best. And that number is going to continue to grow, so they're trying to get on it quickly and fast. Fast, quick, and in a hurry. But parents, where there's a will, there's a way, okay? So North Carolina should do what is best for students and reject vouchers. Ricky Rachel Sanoguera, I can't pronounce her last name, one of the plaintiffs in the case, is Jewish and is raising her daughter in the Jewish faith and tradition. Many schools funded through the program only admit Christian students. Ricky is concerned about the way vouchers are advertised to the public. They sell these vouchers as a choice for parents, but they are not a choice for my family, she said. It is galling that my tax dollars are funding private schools where my family is not welcome because of our faith. Well, Miss Ricky, if you're of the Jewish faith and you choose to separate yourself from attending a school where, they literally have one Bible class. Everything else is standardized curriculum for the most part, and you do have to look into them. If you choose to not put your child in that school, maybe you should get together with some people who practice your faith wherever you all meet in houses of worship and create a school that you feel fits you, because that's exactly what the Christian community is doing. That's what the Islamic community is doing. That's what the STEM community is doing. That's what the Satan Club community is doing. They're creating spaces and places for people who believe and feel and live as they do. So you have the right to do that. The North Carolina State Constitution includes a bar against religious discrimination that does not appear in the U.S. Constitution. In North Carolina, no person shall be subjected to discrimination by the state because of race, color, religion, or national origin. Our state constitution also provides all persons have a natural and inalienable right to worship Almighty God according to the dictates of their own consciousness, and no human authority shall in any case whatsoever control or interfere with the rights of the conscience. Mind you, North Carolina, when they said Almighty God with a capital A, capital G, I'm sure they were talking about the God of the Bible, which is Jesus Christ himself, as this is a state within the Bible Belt. So I believe that Constitution was referencing Christianity. The complaint argues that the state violates these commands when it funds schools that discriminate on the basis of religion, religious beliefs, and sexual orientation. Now, if a Muslim student decides that they want to attend a private Christian school, most likely they have the right, but it's not going to stop the tenets and the precepts of Christianity from being taught. They're still going to have to participate in Bible class. They're still going to have to get that religious curriculum, however they choose to implement it within the school, because they chose to ingratiate themselves and go to a school that practices a particular belief. I would not send my Christian daughter or my Christian sons to an Islamic school, because I know that what they are teaching goes against what we believe and what I'm instilling in my children. Parents as adults, some parents are adults, you have the right to choose where that child goes. And if you can't find a Christian school, and if public schools are that great, then just leave them in their public school. Okay, plaintiff Amanda Howell lives in Randolph County, where every private school is a Christian school. In Randolph County, I don't know how big that population is. It sounds really small. She is concerned that most children will be left in public schools with depleted resources, while those with vouchers will be enrolled in private schools with no accountability. Well, Miss Amanda, worry about your child. And don't worry about where another parent chooses to place their child, whether they have accountability or not. Okay? And you can travel across counties to take your child to school, to a private school. It's not restricted like public schools. I can drive, if I work in a separate county, I can find a private school on the way to my job. It may be in the same county where I work, but not where we live. That's one of the benefits of private education. So you're not restricted or constrained to choosing a private school in your county. She says, I just don't think I should have to sacrifice my personal beliefs for my child to get an education. And she's right. I don't feel like I have to sacrifice my personal beliefs for my child to get an education. And I feel like every day they go to a public school, I have to sacrifice my personal beliefs. But my personal beliefs are not on the table. And you're daggone sure not getting ready to put them on anybody's cross. They're not up for debate. And they will not be sacrificed for public education. And that's why I researched and found a school that met my needs. And there isn't a single, she said, there's no non-religious private schools in her county. Her son has special needs that local public schools could not accommodate. Amanda, they can accommodate those special needs. They just don't want to. They're lying to you. And there are private schools that cater specifically to children who have ADHD, autism, and other learning and behavioral deficits. They have private schools that do that. Of course, they didn't want to mention any of those because then you may be tempted to drive outside your county down the street and place your child in there. But that $9,000 that they get for him, that they don't want to spend on him to get those resources that he's legally entitled to, they're just gonna let you sit here and get your quote, put your quote in here. So it is what it is. Let's see. She said he has special needs that the school cannot accommodate. But maybe if my local school had the money that is being spent on these vouchers, they would be able to help more children who need it. Maybe if you had an advocate, such as myself, you wouldn't have to worry about not getting those resources for your child because the school very well can do what they're supposed to do as far as accommodating his special needs. We are grateful. I don't know who's quoting this. I'm putting in quotes. We are grateful to our board member, John Sherry, and his family for challenging the state program that permits public funding to support private schools that may teach anti-LGBTQ curriculum and discriminate against LGBTQ students and educators. And I'm thankful for all the parents and teachers and advocates who challenge public schools who teach pro-LGBTQ curriculum and uplift and place on a podium, on a platform, LGBTQ students and educators. Thank you. I appreciate your hard work and efforts. That came from Kendra R. Johnson, the Executive Director of Equality NC, a social justice organization dedicated to securing equal rights and justice for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer North Carolinians. Taxpayer funds should support safe and equitable learning that reinforces resilience, not classrooms that harm young people. Well, if you feel like a classroom is harming your child, you take them out. And that's why people chose to remove their kids from the private public education. Especially Black and brown LGBTQ students who are already facing disproportionate risk of push-out bullying and violence. There you go. Synonymous, Black and alternative lifestyle. Black and alternative lifestyle. But if so many Black people were engaging in this alternative lifestyle, we wouldn't have so many Black people. We are not the same. We are not the same. The plaintiffs are represented by a particular law firm that focuses on civil rights and workers' rights. So you all, I encourage you to continue the good fight. If you choose to place your child in a private school, please do your research before you put them in there, because there is limited oversight and regulations as far as what goes on in the schools, in the classes, which I'm grateful for to a degree, because if the state got involved with it, then they'll be teaching pro homosexuality and pro abortion and pro weed this and pro that. You wouldn't be able to be a Christian if the state got into it. They would outlaw Jesus in a Christian school. So I'm thankful that they've stepped back and they've allowed people to create schools and places of for their child to be educated without interference. Public schools, if you choose to put your child in a public school, they do have more resources and they do have more laws to protect your child, especially if your child has a special need and needs accommodations or some other speech therapy, assisted technology. They have more resources. Okay, as far as that, Miss Ricky, she's not getting the help that she needs, and I'll feel for her, because I understand what it feels like to have a child in a public school who the school doesn't want to service, even though they're legally entitled. So I'm surprised that, I didn't know they knew anything about the law, because they always broke it and when it came to my daughter. But I'm glad that they're doing their research now, and maybe then they'll learn how to keep that same motivation and that same energy, that big school energy, when it comes to implementing IDEA and FERPA. So that's all I have to say, you all. It's up to you to choose what you want. Like I said, they get about $9,500 per school year for each public school pupil, and the Opportunity Scholarship is only offering private schools $4,200. I think they went up a little bit because they've adjusted for inflation, as most things have. So I think it's like 5,000 something now. This is 2 years post this article being written. So let's just keep an eye on it and see how things go. I have 2 kids in a private school. I have 1 child in the public school. As a mother, as a parent, I made the decision that was best for my kids. And I encourage you to make the decision that's best for your child or your children as well. God bless you, and you have a wonderful day, honey.